full realization when I understood like, wow, it's now different church. It's not the church where I got baptized.
What made you keep your faith?
I couldn't like just believe. For me, I should find some proofs, and this is what really helped me. I had like maybe 3 questions. First, like if Jesus is the real person. Second thing, that can we trust the Bible? Third question was like, okay, how can I believe if Jesus raised from the dead?
There's a lot of denominations out there, and a lot of people who say that they are Christians. And a lot of people have the question then, how do I know which denomination is the correct one?
Everything what I hear, I should examine with the Bible if it's according with the truth.
No matter what happens, our faith is not tied to the people who preach it, it's tied to the scriptures themselves. What would you say now to the people who may not be part of the movement anymore?
Only if we will see God's hand in everything what's going on in our life, only through this we can allow God to turn any bad situation to something great.
Hello everyone, welcome to Shallows and Deep Waters podcast. With me is sitting Victor Maslyanikov and my name is Gustaf of Klint. It is an honor to be here with you, bro.
Thank you.
Yes, so literally what I'm wanting to do with this podcast is to ask different disciples about their life before they became a disciple and also how they ended up becoming disciples, both for the record for the future, but also so that we might learn something from their stories and their faithfulness up until now. So Victor, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up here?
Yeah, it's a long story actually. I was born in Moldova, small country where many people don't know where it is, but it's between Ukraine and Romania. I'm 42 now, but when I got baptized, I was 18.
Oh, wow.
And it was in Moldova there, and it was in ICOC. I was met on the street, and first time I didn't take it seriously, and I said to that guy, don't call me anymore. And after 6 months, after God humbled me so much, He sent me other people who also start sharing faith with me. And then I start, okay, let's try. And I start studying the Bible and became a disciple. Now I'm here. It's actually the 8th country where I used to live. No, actually 7th country, but next week I will move to a new country. I will move to Georgia. And I hope I will be a good help for them.
Yes. There. So which countries have you been to then? Like how many? So we are now in Germany for the record.
Yeah.
So what has ended up? How many countries have you been to?
Yeah, first of course Moldova when I became a disciple, and after I moved to Ukraine, to Kiev, and in total I was in Kiev around 10 years, and I was 2.5 years in Moscow, Russia, and also around 3 months in Sweden.
Right, I remember that.
And also UK in London, I was some time. And before I moved here, I was in Poland 2.5 years. And God gave me the chance to plant this church and lead that church for 2.5 years.
You said that when you were on your way to become a disciple, you were invited first, and then God humbled you.
Yeah.
So what is this story? How did you end up? Who first invited you, and when was this?
Yeah, one guy on the street, he invited me, and that was moment like a teenager, listen like a rap music, like kind of like style this, like a lot of electronic music, and that guy was in a white shirt, looked very like, it's like, and I didn't like that guy, and but we started talking, and I gave him my number. And after some time, he started calling me, and I always trying to find a reason why I can meet with him. And at the end, I said, okay, let's meet. And we met with him. He started showing me the scriptures from the Bible. And I said, yeah, I don't need this. Actually, don't call me anymore. And he stopped calling me. And after 6 months, another 2 disciples met me on the street.
Wow.
And there was an interesting story because I really didn't have much time. It was 1 hour before my work start. And we went to park, and they start showing me some scriptures. And at that moment, police came and started checking documents. And I realized that I'm late for my work. And I said, okay, guys, goodbye. And I left. And I didn't give them didn't give them my number. Only one thing what I said is my name and the restaurant where I was working at that moment, and it was like famous restaurant. And but at this evening, someone show up, and security came to me and said, someone came to visit you. I said, okay, I'm not expecting like someone. And I went out and I saw the guy who was inviting me 6 months ago, and I was, wow, what are you doing here? And he was also very surprised. He said, oh, do you know, today you spoke with two guys, and one of them came to me, asked me to, because I was going to center, he asked me like to come and take your number. And it's like, wow, why they came to him, you know, because they have many people in the church, and why he needs to go to center. And I realized that it's not by chance, you know, and it was like, okay, God wants something from me. Maybe this is the answer for my question, because at that moment I was humbled a lot because my life started going down and down. I had a criminal case. I was like, I had problem like with the police, you know, like I was like addicted to drugs and all these things, you know, like was becoming worse and worse. And I was really at that moment start looking like something else, you know, because I realized that the friends, what I called my friends, they really like, they can easily betray me, you know, like they're not really my friends. And I was looking something what I called like, okay, true friendship, true love. I was believing that if I strive to this, there is someone in the world who also like I have the same convictions, and we can find each other. And this is where I said, okay, I will give chance to God, you know, to Christianity, because I was against Christianity for a long time. And now, like I saw, I start like a meeting with them. I had a lot of questions, and maybe 2 times we met. I just only asked questions, and then we start studying the Bible. But I was impressed by their life. I was impressed how you know, sincere they were, how joyful they were. They were inspired by God. They lived a very interesting life. I like comparing my life with their life, I feel like, oh, my life's so boring. Yeah, because they really do something important, you know. And yeah, this is what changed my life, you know. Like, and when I start reading the Bible, I was impressed. I was impressed by Jesus, who he was, because like I had a stereotypes who Jesus was, and they was wrong. And I realized that religion and Jesus' teaching, it's very different things. And when you separate this, wow, I realized that, wow, I'm impressed by Jesus. I want to imitate him. I want to be like him. And this is only one way what gives you real happy life, and at the end, eternal life.
Right.
And yeah, this is how I became a disciple.
I'm fascinated by this, because when it resonates, I think, with a lot of people who have the same sentiment nowadays. A lot of people think, at least when I speak to people about God, they say, I don't need God.
Yeah.
People say, I think religion is evil. When I first came to church, I was a stone cold atheist, and I was very angry about the way that I thought religion was hypocritical. And a lot of people who came to church also being hypocrites themselves. So I'm curious, when you went from saying, I don't need God, to then seeing that you do need, and then also going from seeing the separation between religion and true Christianity, how did that come about?
Yeah, I'm actually believed in something. I call it God, but even like I was praying to God, but I was more like I was understanding like that it should be something above. Some higher intelligence, something like this. But I didn't connect this with Christianity. I thought Christianity is something like very old. We need modern religion, you know, because now like civilization, there's more improved, you know, and this is why I thought like, no, Bible is not for me. And because I saw like a very bad examples of Christians, or so in one way it was a boring Christianity, like traditional church, and other way like a people who act very religious, but they were living like double life, you know, and this is and they were not really happy, you know, like with God. And this way like it made me think, no, it's God and religions like should be far from each other.
Right.
Yeah, and I was more involved like in esoteric, like New Age teachings, This is where trying to find answers.
And how did you go from this New Age teaching, and what were the beliefs you had then? Like in the New Age teaching, did you believe that you believed there was a higher power?
Yes, I was believing that there is a higher power, and I used to believe in love, actually, that love, it's something whereas through this you can find the truth. You know, where is love, there is the truth. You know, like, and where is no love, there is no truth. And this is something where I try to connect, and I realized that when I read in the Bible, I realized that, wow, Jesus actually the one who exists before the world was created. And he tried to teach us the things what we couldn't even understand, because our mind, it's limited. You know, we live we can percept only like 4 dimensions, but you know, quantum physics tells us that there is more than 4 dimensions, and like at least 11, and Jesus is the one who can perceive all these 11 dimensions, and he tried to explain to us some things what we couldn't even understand, but only through faith. This is how our you know, like these borders of our like a box, you know, like I can compare it with the box, whereas like everything what inside the box we call real, everything what outside the box we call it supernatural, because we don't understand. But when we believe, we start believing in Jesus' teaching, the borders of this box, they start, you know, like
to broaden.
Yes, and more information we start receiving, and this is how we can understand the things what, you know, or many even scientists couldn't understand. But God give us ability to really like understand more how this world actually work.
Right. So when you went from this New Age teaching to then understanding more about Jesus, how did you come to a conviction that this was true? Because you lived in Moldova, which, as far as I know, was heavily communist influenced, and they brought people up with atheism.
Yeah.
So how did you go from this to?
Yeah, but also it's like Orthodox country.
Right.
But for me was I was like I couldn't like just believe. You know, for me I should find some proofs. You know, like scientific proofs. And this is what really helped me. I had like maybe 3 questions. First, like if Jesus is the real person. And when I start like researching, I realized that, wow, we have more proofs that Jesus exists than Alexander the Great. You know? And second thing, it was that can we trust the Bible? And I also found that we have so much manuscripts, what really like proving, and so many copies that you know, that even if some of the copy could be changed, like we have so much that, you know, like it's impossible like to change. And the earliest copy was written around like 30 years after the original was written. And this is something what is like convinced me that, okay, we have Bible what is the same as it was 2,000 years ago. But the first question was like, okay, how can I believe if Jesus raised from the dead? And this is something what convinced me when I started reading the Bible. I saw the disciples who was with Jesus. In one moment, they all ran away when they saw Jesus being crucified. But when they saw him resurrected from the dead, this is the moment what totally changed their mind. And after that moment, they was ready to give their lives, and they actually was murdered. They was died. They was killed. You know, like because of their faith. And only the reason that they saw Jesus resurrected from the dead could influence them. This is something what convinced me that, wow, it's Jesus. They really saw Jesus resurrected.
Right.
And the last thing I tried to put Jesus' teaching into the practice. And in this way, I start see like, wow, everything it's working. What Jesus was teaching, it's working. And and this is what built faith in me. And I decided, okay, I will trust Bible, trust Jesus' teaching. I will start follow. And when I start follow, more proofs I received.
That was always one of my favorite scriptures, even before I became a disciple. the call to action from Jesus in John 8:31-32. When you do, you will end up knowing the truth, and the truth will set you free. But also even in John 7, where it actually speaks about how if you want to know whether I'm just another teacher or if I actually speak from God, then if you are willing to put it into practice, then you will know. So that's actually incredible. So tell me a little about, you said you spent an entire session just asking questions before you actually got into the full Bible studies. What were the kind of questions you had?
Yeah, I tried to find connection between the things what I learned last 3 years, because I was like involved in many different teaching, trying to find truth in the different areas. And I used to read like a lot of books at that moment on this area. And and this is where I tried to find the connection, because I thought religion like shows God that as an old guy, like guy sitting on the clouds, with a big white beard, something like this. And I realized, no, actually, what Bible described God, it's not far from the things what I learned, and I realized that, okay, there is some teaching what they're trying to understand nature of God, and in some areas they could even like be very close. And
you mean in New Age?
I mean, yeah, like people who trying to explore the nature, the laws of this world. They have some like understanding, and some of them like very close. And I can explain it. It's like abyss, and there is a one side and another side, and between the abyss.
Yes,
and
abyss.
And you see the building on that side, and different groups staying on the, near the
edge.
Near this and the edge, and they all like I can see the same things and describe the same things, and all of them could be right, but only one bridge going to that side. It's Jesus. Like all this teaching, they can give you some knowledge, but only Jesus can give you the way there. Like how you can really meet God, how you can really get to know God and be with God. And this is what I was really like convinced when I started reading the Bible, that only Jesus is the way.
And so how long did it take you from getting to this conviction to you becoming a Christian and a disciple then?
No, actually from from that moment when I met disciples and started like a really meet with them, like I studied the Bible, it took me a very, very short time. In 3 weeks, I repent in all of my sins, and became a disciple. My life turned like 180 degrees from how it was before.
And what would you say now to people who have the same doubts as you in the beginning? Like, I don't need this. I don't think.
I think it's like someone giving you the cake, said, "Wow, it's so good cake," and you're like, yeah, I believe you, but I will not try. But only when you try, only when you taste this cake, you can really see, wow, it's a really good cake. And the same way, I can say, just try, try to read the Bible, try to get to know God and what He wants for you, what plans He has for you. And after I think you'll be inspired.
That's awesome. So now that you have become a disciple, what happened then afterwards? You joined, I assume, what we would call in the church the teens ministry. And what happened then?
Yeah, because I was like 18 years old, and after 3 months, I received proposal can you lead the group of teenagers? And I start leading teenagers Bible talk, and we had around 7 or 8 people. I was older than all of them. Sister was helping me, she was 17.
What is a Bible talk, just so that you could explain that for people who might not know?
Bible talk is a small group where people meet together, invite people and take some scriptures and discuss it together, trying to find the truth. And it's the very always good time,
Yes.
fun time, and sometimes we had some games, and yeah, it's a good moment like to build friendship.
Right.
And
And you
people
started leading this.
yeah, I'm start leading this, and yeah, it was like a interesting time.
Was that the first time in your life that you had started taking care of other people and leading a bigger part of a group, or
Actually, yes.
yeah?
Because before, no, I never did it.
So how was that then? How was that step to starting to do
Yeah,
that
I
from
think,
having
I
never
think,
done
I
that before?
think I learned many things. I was just like learning from my discipler. Discipler is the one, the brother who helped me to grow.
Yes.
Having like times when he was open the Bible and teaching me how can I be effective in my leadership, how can I be just a great disciple, be close with God.
And this was 2001 and 2002, right?
Yes, it was in 2001.
And then what happened afterwards? Did you move to another country, or were you staying in Moldova for how long?
Yeah, I think I moved to Ukraine after 5 years. And I started dating with a sister from Kiev, and this is why I moved there.
Okay.
And
And how big was the church in Moldova and the church in Kiev at that point?
at that moment was in Moldova was when I got baptized, it was 120 disciples, but Kiev church at that moment was around 3,500.
Wow, 3,500.
Yeah, and
Oh my goodness! Wow, and that was all in. They had separated into regions then, I assume. Or like,
it was
oh my goodness!
4 regions at that moment.
And how many around the world? How many disciples around the world at this time?
At this time was around 135,000 disciples. It was like a 460 churches all around the world.
You showed me. This was I remember this moment very vividly, because you showed me a video once of an arena filled with disciples and all their guests, and this was in America, I think it was, or where was this?
Yeah, it was at that moment like every month was like a Kingdom News Network. It was like network, not network, news digest, where like was news all around the world, and it was like a special service in Manila, Philippines, when all the disciples got the challenge to bring one bus of visitors, and it was a service where was 110,000 disciples, not disciples like people.
People, yeah. And how many of those were disciples?
I think around 15,000 was disciples. All others it was visitors.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So disciples, 15,000 disciples brought about 100,000 guests.
Yeah, and it was actually, the service was celebration of, because there was a plan like to start churches in all countries all around the world, where population more than 100,000 people.
Yes.
In all capitals, and
they did it, right?
In the year 2000, yeah, they did it, and the plan was fulfilled. God made it happen.
Yes.
And this was kind of celebration of this special.
Shortly after, about 2003, there is something that happens.
Yeah.
And this had already been starting a few years beforehand, as far as I understand. Would you like to tell us what happened and how this impacted you?
Yeah, I think like the main reason was that in one moment, of course, like what is human, there could be some issues, and instead of like think about how we can help people maybe to change, like some of the leaders, they start thinking, oh, maybe problem in the whole system. And we need to change the doctrine. We need to change the teaching. And this is where some changes has been made, what really turned the whole movement in the other direction. And one of the changes what has been made, it's like teaching that, central leadership is not biblical. And let's have kind of, they came with to autonomous churches, to be autonomous churches. And this is what really destroyed unity all around the world. And I think this changed the focus from evangelization of the world to more like a build your own life. And this is where people, without vision, they start perishing. And at that moment start a lot of fall aways, and a lot of people fall away at that moment.
People lost faith.
Yeah, lost focus, lost faith, and of course, since they will always try to pull you back. And I at that moment I moved to Ukraine. It was 2005, and I saw wow. I was expecting that Kiev Church can be more powerful and stronger than the church where I've been. But I saw other things, I saw that people not really focused on God's mission. And also I was shocked that leaders from the stage, they were teaching from the whole month was like a series of lessons from denominational book, from
Really?
And everyone forced to buy this book. I was like, wow, why we going to learn from other denominations, how to build a church.
Yes.
And this is where I was shocked by this. But at that moment, two disciples on our way to Sunday service came to me and said, we have every Friday we have some meeting, and they're people who really strive to change, who really still believe in discipleship, still believe in evangelization of the world. We meet, trying to help each other, encourage. You can come. And there was every Friday was a meeting of around a group of maybe 40 people.
Wow.
And all this group was
this was in Kiev.
Yeah, it was in Kiev.
So out of 3,500.
Yes.
Or had they
maybe a little bit less at that moment, because it was a lot of followers. And but this group, they trying to maintain the right focus, saving souls. And it was like everyone knows about this. It wasn't something unofficial, but all these disciples, the leader of this group, he was connected with Kip McKin at that moment. He trying to more find answers to many questions, and in one moment when Kip was disfellowshipped, all our group also was disfellowshipped.
And Kip was the then leader of the movement at that time?
No, at that time he was just leading the church in Portland.
And then he was disfellowshipped from the church.
Was growing a lot, and because a lot of people was calling him, ask him to help their churches. He tried to help, and he was called by leadership at that moment, world leadership, that you cannot disciple people from the churches what is not in your responsibility. It's not your regional, in your region. And because of this, he was called several times and offered this fellowship. And it was in 2005, and our group was disfellowshipped as well. And this is how we had a first remnant group, part of ICC. At that moment, it was no ICC. It was 1 year before ICC officially started.
But this brings an interesting question. I think when I became a disciple, some of the things that, and also brings back to the questions you probably had as well, when you first became a disciple, there's a lot of denominations out there, and a lot of people who say that they are Christians. And a lot of people have the question then, how do I know which denomination is the correct one? And then this comes down to why we in the church call the church non-denominational, of course. But how did you come to the conclusion that you had ended up in the right place, and especially with all this crumbling around you?
The one thing, God gave to us Bible. And Bible always give us answers if we look in there. And one thing I was realizing, Jesus was calling to people to be total committed, to be disciples, and he gave his life to save people. And this is something like I realized that if we want to follow Jesus and imitate his life, we should also like follow his heart to save souls, his faith, his love to people. And yeah, this is where like convinced me like, wow, where I see the teaching calling people to be total committed, to be sold out to Jesus. And yeah, this is how I realized that I want to be a part of the moment where people really follow Jesus.
And how old were you when that movement crumbled? This you were 20 years old then, or how?
It started like I think I can say in 2002. We start feeling it a little bit like in 2003. Some changes would start happening, but the full realization when I understood like, wow, it's a different church. It's not the church where I got baptized. I came to this conclusion in 2005, and yeah, it was like I was 23 at that moment.
Because there was, as you said, there was a lot of people who fell away. And during this time, I was very young at this point. I was 6 years old at 2005, born 1999. But the movement in Sweden, or the church that had been part of this worldwide movement in Sweden, had also lost its way. And at this point, my parents sadly split apart, or around that time. And I remember, at least from what my dad has told me, that this led to, there was of course a lot of sadness in this. And since a lot of people lost faith and fell away, and several people even becoming atheists during this time, what made you keep your faith during this time?
You know, I think because there was people around who still believed in discipleship, that word can be evangelized. And I think like one thing what I learned from the very first moment when I start studying the Bible, that I should build my convictions according with the Bible. This is what is like that everything what I hear I should examine with the Bible if it's according with the truth. And even Paul in the Acts 17 from 10 to 12, he very inspired when he called like people from Berea, that wow, they like have more noble character than people from Thessalonica, because they not only received message with a great eagerness, but also they were examining what Paul was teaching if it's according with the Bible. And this scripture really like gave me the foundation of my future life, I can say, like, and I'm always coming back to the scripture. Okay, what Bible speaks about it, and at that moment as well, like this conviction helped me to really like start looking answers in the Bible, because especially Old Testament give us like so many stories when the Israelites, because of their sins, God sent them to Babylon for 70 years. They were in exile, and when they repented, God brought them back. The same way, you know, like we as a movement, in one moment can stuck if we stopped following God's will. And but when we repent, God gather again His people and start the movement. What can really like bring the world back to God. And and this is what I was believing, that okay, God will find a way how to evangelize the world. Even one movement fall, He will raise another one. And and I like saw very clear at that moment that this is the actually a new movement of God.
What I see throughout the world, even within atheism, but also as part of what happened during this fall of the ICOC, or International Churches of Christ, is that our faith sometimes is, well, at least in this moment, our faith is shown whether it's tied to people or whether it's tied to the scriptures. And people ended up being hurt by people, and became distrustful of people, but then that reflected in sudden distrust of God. So it's like, I think this is a very valuable lesson, even what you went through, that no matter what happens, our faith is not tied to the people who preach it, it's tied to the scriptures themselves, and the convictions that we actually got into, or became disciples with. So now with all of this that had happened, and the new movement starting, what happened then? Because you mentioned 2005, this small group was disfellowshipped and so on. What happened afterwards?
Yeah, it was like so many things happened during this time. One of the things I was start doubting in one moment, and even like I came back to ICOC again, and I was there like 2 years, and I realized that I had a hope that I can influence somehow, but I realized that people don't want to change. They understand, but they don't want to come back to this lifestyle of being disciple. Yeah, they're more like chose like a more convenient way, like it's like this where I realized that no, this is it will not work. And in 2008 I again came back, and and from that moment I was a part of ICC all this time.
There's a story that this conversation makes me think about. When I was younger, I had some conflicts with my younger brother, and it's funny, but not so funny for us at the time. But now I realize it's silly. But I was very impatient with him, and he in those moments, what I would say was quite emotional, and I went emotional back. But something that my dad and my mom helped teach me during these times, because I wanted to solve the conflict right then and there, and deal with the problem, whilst I myself was angry, and that of course didn't help. But something that my dad and mom said during those times was, don't force it. Don't force the solution right now, because at the moment he cannot handle talking about it. And so I had to be patient and wait for days before we could even bring up the conflict and solve it. And sometimes we were able to solve it more quickly, and that often depended on my patience. But what I see with this is that when people are in pain, physical or otherwise, but especially perhaps emotional pain, which came from a lot of the breakdown of the movement, people sort of lock themselves in a state of wanting to protect themselves. And I think that story with my brother resonates a lot with this, in the same sense that when we are in pain, we go into defense mode, and we get sort of harden ourselves. It's impossible to get in there unless you deal with the pain first. And so even with what you're saying about the people who fell away, and also why you stayed, as far as I see, that's two different ways of dealing with pain. That's some people who didn't want to come back to discipleship because it was too painful to deal with, and you can perhaps fill me in more, but also you staying despite the pain of what had happened. And even with this example with my brother, that we as a church is a family. Ultimately, we are called to stay together, independent of conflicts that may turn out in the church. What would you say now to the people who may not be part of the movement anymore, or what would you say in order to inspire, to give some hope and so on?
Yeah,
What would
absolutely,
your words?
absolutely. Bible give us answers and examples of many situations where people really face like injustice to them. Like example, Joseph, he was betrayed by his brothers,
Yeah.
you know, and he was like a 13 years like or in jail or in slavery. He could think, wow, my brothers betrayed me, my father doesn't look for me, he forgot me, he left me, you know, I'm in here like in trouble and pain. But after he saw that God has a plan while he was there, and he made him a ruler of whole Egypt, and through him he saved the whole nation. And one of the things what he was telling that, wow, you did something bad for me, but God turned it for something good, to saving souls, to saving many souls. And only if we will see God's hand in everything what's going on in our life, only through this we can allow God to turn any bad situation to something great. And yeah, and this is, I believe, like the lesson what helped me and could help like any person.
So you then moved to Sweden. Was this before or after you met my dad? Because I'm curious a little bit about when you guys met.
Yes, actually we met first time in Sweden when I moved.
Really? So why did you move there?
It's interesting because I used to live in Moscow at that moment, and actually my plan was to stay there for a long time. And I was talking with the leader of the church, and he said, no, it's better for you to stay. Because at that moment, the plan was that next year the mission team will go to Kiev.
Yes.
And I was asking like if what will be better for me, to stay in Moscow or to move to Kiev. And the decision was made, it's better for me to stay in Moscow. But what's happening that somehow I had problems with my documents and I need to leave the country as soon as possible. And I was blocked to come back for 3 years.
Really?
And this is how God determined me to go to Kiev. But at that moment there was like a small remnant group, and I was like, wow, I don't want to like go and die there. And I was actually upset at that moment. And one brother came to me and said, bro, you need to look different. You need to see God's hand and know what's going on. Maybe God wants to bless you with this. And when I start thinking like this, another brother who used to lead the church in Stockholm at that moment, and was a plan that he and his wife, they will lead the mission team to Kiev, called me and said, bro, I need actually a right hand in Kiev, and can you come for 3 months to Sweden for some training, and after come back to Kiev and be a right hand for me there. And this is how I moved to Stockholm. But interesting thing here, that when I moved to Moscow, I was praying that God help me to come back to Kiev with the mission team, as a part of mission team, and as in a full-time ministry. And I forgot about this prayer, but through this situation, I actually came back to Kiev as a part of mission team, and from that moment I start being in a full-time ministry. This is how God, in a very interesting way, answered my prayer.
And what year was it that you moved to Sweden then?
It was 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
And so I saw a video of you and my dad going on a mercy field trip. I'm not entirely sure what it was. Can you tell me a little bit more about what was your experience? What was your experience in Sweden? And your relationship with my dad back then, because I'm just curious as a son to know this.
Your dad, he opened the doors of his apartment, where it became a brother's household, and I used to live there.
Oh my goodness.
And it was a good time, you know, like because with your dad we had a lot of like very deep talks and different things, and also at that moment I met Casper and Ashley, and they were leading the campus group at that moment, and this is where we also like I built very great friendship with Kasper and Ashley.
How long did you stay there?
For 3 months.
Wow. And then you moved to Kiev.
Yes, then I moved to Kiev.
And then after Kiev, what happened then?
Yeah, I was in Kiev till 2021.
And that's when you moved to London.
Yes. The plan was for me to move to London for training, and after 2 years be sent to Bucharest, Romania.
Right.
And after from Romania, plant the church in Moldova.
Right.
Yeah, and this is why I moved to London. But after 5 months, the war started. And this is where Nick Badieri, he called me, he's director of All Mercy Worldwide.
Yes.
And he called me and said, bro, I need your help. I want to go to Poland to start the project, how we can help refugees, and maybe to go to Ukraine. And yeah, just I came to Poland just to help with this project. I didn't plan to stay there. But this is where Michael called me and said, bro, I have good news to you. You're staying in Poland, and you will lead this church.
Wow.
And yeah, this is how I moved to Poland and planted the church there.
Let me see. The war started
2022.
22, and then you moved it immediately.
Yeah, it was like 3-4 weeks after the war started.
Right. I remember that when you moved out of our apartment, we were so sad that you were leaving. But I also remember that having a personal prayer at that moment, like I just need, God, please allow me to come and help Victor in some way. And then I was asked, or allowed rather, when I asked to come on this team to come into Ukraine. But with all of this happening, you went into Ukraine several times during the war, no? So how was this?
You know, God always, like I believe, protect people who wants to serve Him. And, and this is why, like, God really protect me all the time, even in the situation where it was in Lviv. Once I was there, and my kids came there, and during the night I was woke up because of the explosions. And one explosion was 1 kilometer from us, another explosion another kilometer other side from us, and we were actually between 2 explosions.
Right.
And when it's like explosion happens, like usually 2 blocks around, like all the windows shatter. People more like injured by the glass than because of the explosion. And this is like God protected like me a lot, so many times. And yeah, of course, it's crazy things happening there.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm very grateful that disciples there, they are still faithful, you know, like no matter what, they just please God.
Were you ever afraid when you went in there?
I'm not really afraid. I don't know why, but God took away my fear, and trust God, you know, like when I do something for Him, God protects me.
Come on.
And story in the Bible about Daniel, when, you know, because he was following God's will, he was thrown to the furnace of fire, yes, like, and even there God protect him. But this is what encouraged me, that God always protects His people.
You mentioned there that you have some kids. So how many kids do you have?
Yeah, I have 2 beautiful daughters. One is now 17. Second is 15.
Wow. How has it been? Because you've been going around the world a lot. So how has it been as a father to maintain contact with your kids during all this time, and even being an evangelist in Warsaw? Yeah, how's that been?
Yeah, of course, you know, it's challenging. And I just trying to be close with them, talk with them every day, you know, like, and be a good friend for them. And by grace of God, we have very good relationships, you know, and I try to visit them as much I can, you know.
And they're now living in Ukraine?
Yeah, they're living in Ukraine.
Wow, that's some bold living.
Yeah, but they're living in the very west part of Ukraine, where I can say there was no explosions and very safety.
as a father then, on a video like this, what would you say to your kids as they are now growing up, and is there a message you have for them?
Yeah, I think the same. If you like really read the Bible, rely and take your convictions from the Bible. This is how you allowed God to guide you in the where you can find the truth,
Yes.
where you can follow the truth, because a lot of like Satan trying to distract us with different false teachings, and in this world a lot of false teachings, and only in the Bible you can find the truth.
Right.
This is how we can protect ourselves from being deceived by Satan if we really like read the Bible every day and build our conviction according with it.
Amen. And then when you were leading the church in Warsaw, I'm curious, because because the men were not allowed to leave Ukraine because of the recruitment system going on. So how did this end up? You basically had a church with you and then sisters.
Yeah, because like the first plan was just to help sisters who moved from Ukraine and to Europe, and how we can help them. And I came there, and it was me and 10 sisters, and this is how we actually started the church. And it was very challenging, and I was thinking, how can I do it? And one scripture came to my mind at that moment, where Moses was asking God, how can I make these people believe? And God said, what you have in your hand? He said, I have a staff. Okay, I will use your staff. And I realized that, wow, if God can use the staff to make people believe, why he cannot use these beautiful sisters? And interesting, little by little, God started bringing some people from London, from Ukraine, and maybe after 1 year, we already had 12 sisters, 12 brothers, and
wow.
The amount of brothers and sisters was the same.
Yes.
And God was working powerfully.
And there was around the time, as far as I understand, with Nick Bordieri and Mercy Worldwide, there was national television that you had that the Mercy Worldwide had ended up on in Poland, and even with all the efforts, that you built a library there with the Mercy team.
Yeah, we had many projects trying to help refugees what was coming from Ukraine. First project, we were providing information, for people what they can do, where they can go, because people were coming on the train station knowing nothing, first time in Europe, they didn't know where to go, what to do, and this is where we were helping them with accommodation, with the information, what they can do. And after we start helping, we were focusing more on the kids of these refugees, because many people used to live in the refugee centers, and kids was without care, and this is where we were trying to help these kids. We did a lot of different events for them, and one moment we start making libraries, rooms for them, when they can spend time, when they can study, play. And and this is how we try to help.
Right. And now that you're in Berlin, and then you're about to move away to Georgia, so what is your vision for the future?
I have a dream. Because when I got baptized, the Eurasian world sector was 11,000 disciples. And now we have very small amount of people in these churches. And I still have a dream in my heart to really make maximum effort to really build Eurasian world sector. That former Russian-speaking countries, former, I can say, Soviet Union countries, again can become a great, powerful, big world sector.
Yes.
Where a lot of people can find truth, hope, and salvation.
That reminds me a little bit I think one of the coolest things I've ever read was how in this was probably before you became a disciple, but how when Moscow was planted first,
Yeah.
I don't know how many came there as a mission team. There was 12,
Yeah, it's a
24?
very interesting story because a long time disciples couldn't go there because of the Cold War, and when the Berlin Wall fall down, this is where mission team came with. It was 17 people, and most of them, and actually only one person was speaking Russian there.
My goodness.
And it was very challenging because they not even speak Russian. But and also the COPE started at that moment, and many missionaries were coming back, but disciples stayed, and because of the state, they stayed. It was all the mission field was open for them,
Wow.
and God blessed them, and it was like 850 baptisms in the first year.
That is insane.
Church started growing very fast, and I believe all things what's happening now, God prepare the hearts of the people for a new harvest.
Wow. I want to finish up by asking you this. You mentioned to me that you wanted to create a book.
Yeah, I'm actually writing a book. Little by little, I adding there chapters, and I'm writing a book about faith. And the work name now, for the book, it's Physics of Faith, where I'm trying to really see how faith really works, and also compare these with quantum physics and with biblical teaching, because many people trying to use faith in the wrong way, because faith is an instrument, but without God, faith, not really work. And this is something what is, trying to help people to really more understand Jesus when he was teaching about faith, because he was teaching a lot about it.
Do you have an example of where faith has worked in your life? Or
Absolutely.
What is the best? What is some examples or your best
so
example?
many stories when I was it just trying to apply the scriptures where Jesus was telling, when you pray, believe that you already receive it. And this is the way of mindset. This is the mindset what we should have when we pray and ask God about something. If you already have it, you feel peace in your heart. It's like you ordered something in Amazon and you expect delivery. You're not worried. You just you anticipate it. You have some foretaste.
Yes.
Wow, tomorrow it will come, and you are happy. This is why when we ask something, if we believe, this is what we should have inside. That some anticipation and foretaste of God making it without no doubt. And this is, I believe, make things come true.
And what is an example of that in your life then?
It was many situations. One of them, it was a story when I was in LA. I came there for some conference, and at that moment I was praying that I was inspired to go in a full-time ministry, and I was praying, God, how can I work less and serve God more? And I was asking about to find a job where I can work 5 hours, and I was ready to have less money.
Yeah.
And interesting, at that moment, in the same day, I received calls from one brother who used to work in the company where I used to work before. And he said, "Oh, do you know, I have a problem to come back to Moscow, I don't know what to do, maybe you can come back to that company." I said, no, I don't want to come back to that company, I have much better. And his boss also texted me, he said, do you know someone who can work instead of him? And I said, I will think. But I didn't match my prayer with this answer. Only after 2 days I realized, wow, maybe this is the answer of my prayer. And I texted him, okay, I can come back to your company, but with the conditions that I will work only 5 hours per day, and also I will choose which hours I will work, if I want mornings or evenings. And third thing, it's you will pay me a salary as I work the full day. And he
Wow.
said yes. And I came back to Moscow at that moment, and I was working like a 5 hours in a day.
Wow.
And I can more like a surf, like be in a campus, on a campus, evangelizing there. And yeah, this like just one small story what came to my mind, how God like answer my prayer.
Yes.
And this is where I believe like when we pray with faith and without no doubts, even if it looks impossible, God make it possible.
That is what I would call faith manifested, or the physics of faith.
Yeah.
I have only one last question, and that is really, you've been faithful now for 24 years.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, do you have a message for the rest of the disciples in the movement in how to stay faithful for this time and really just make it to the end?
When we like understand God's love to us, when we strive to get to know more God, this is what really like make the core in our hearts that, wow, I also love God. And you know, during this time, you know, of course, you know, like I said, and try to tempt me to, oh, look to the world, you know, like what world propose you. But I realized that there is nothing in this world what can attract me. You know, world doesn't have something what better than what God gives me. You know, in the kingdom, you know, like all the perfect gift comes from God. And this is what I realized during my life, that God have the best plan. And yeah, with God, I can say I live my best life.
Yes.
You know, like no matter what hardships, trials I'm going through, like I know, I see that with God, I live in my best life.
Wow. Thank you so much for having been on the podcast. It has been a pleasure to interview you. And with that, this has been the Shallows and Deep Waters podcast, where we delve deep and we prevent shallowness. But bro, thank you so much.
Come on.
Love you, man. Okay.